Hello students, welcome to Hayagreev Foundation YouTube channel. So in the previous class we discussed about the impact of British administration in India to bring some changes in India regarding administration, to bring uniform system of administration. The British government introduced many policies in our country. So in that we discussed about civil services, judicial system, police system and army, and also we discussed about land revenue system. So after discussing all this, so today let us learn about the modern education system. So in the education field, what are the changes implemented by the British and how they modernized Indian education? About that today let us learn. Students, as you all know that in India traditional education was going on, means Gurukula system, it was in practice for a long time. But as the Mughals entered India, after that some changes appeared in the education system. But the complete changes in the education system we can see during the time of British administration. Why? Because many Europeans were settled down in our country. For their children, education was very much necessary. So because of that, they decided to introduce the modern education. That means English education in India. Though they started English education also, it was not available for local people. So that means to the Indians. So because of this, though they introduced the modern education system was also, it was no use for the Indians or local people. So in order to facilitate English education for everyone, one of the Governor General of the British, Warren Hastings, he established a college, that is Calcutta Madrasa. He established the Calcutta Madrasa College, and through this he decided to facilitate this English education for everyone. And later one of the British citizen, one who called Jonathan Duncan, he established a Sanskrit college at the place of Banaras. Though these two members have taken many measures to facilitate English education to everyone, but after 1830s itself, this English education was available for everyone. So that is because of the effort of one of the Governor General, who is called as Lord William Bentinck. So Lord William Bentinck, as he appointed as the Governor General of India, he decided to implement English education everywhere. So because of this, in his council he appointed a member who is called as T.B. Macaulay, Thomas Babington Macaulay. So Thomas Babington Macaulay, he made survey throughout the country and he reported to Lord William Bentinck to implement the English education in India. On the basis of that report, Lord William Bentinck in the year of 1835, he implemented English education everywhere. So that means he universalized the English education in India. After him, though he established English education also, his intention was entirely different. Why? Because he wanted to establish a new Indian class. So what kind of class it should be means, by body he must be an Indian, but in his intelligence and in his thinking, he must be a English, he must be a British citizen. So such kind of class or Indian class he wanted to establish in India. So after that, one more changes took place regarding English education in India. So when Lord Dalhousie came to India, like Lord William Bentinck, he also appointed a member in his council who is called as Charles Wood. So Charles Wood also reported to Lord Dalhousie, so that is universalization of English education. So here it is available only for men, okay, but according to Charles Wood report, Charles Wood dispatch, so that education must be reached to women also. So because of this, he reported to the Lord Dalhousie to establish many universities for women. As a result, what happened at the place of Calcutta, Mumbai, Madras, in all these places, many universities were established. So this English education was available for women also in higher education. So thus, English education took very good development. So in between 1830 to 1840. So students, as the British introduced this English education in India, so because of this, many changes appeared in our country. Okay, so what are the changes appeared? So that one let us discuss. That is the impact of English education in India. So because of the implementation of English education, the Indians could develop the modernity, secularism and democratic attitudes. By learning the English education, by learning the European history, so they started to adapt modernity, secularism and democratic attitudes, because already in the Europe all these attitudes or all these principles they were following. Okay, na? So same thing they started to adapt in India also. Next, local literature and languages got more importance. So by this one advantages we can see. So what is that? So by the development of local literature and the languages, it helped the Indians to think in the same way. Unity of thinking is, so that one developed. So further it helped to during the time of the freedom movement. And then social and religious reformation started. See, for example, as the British introduced the English education in India, so through that we came to know that in Europe there is no superstitious beliefs. So there is no child marriage, and they were encouraging for the widows remarriage. They were encouraging for women, okay, to develop in the society. So like this, many more thoughts developed among the Indians also. As a result of what happened, many social and religious reformation movements started under the leadership of Raja Ram Mohan Rai, Dayananda Saraswati, Jyotiba Phule. So like this, many more reformers started this reformation. That is also one of the major development. Freedom struggle in Europe, many freedom struggle took place. For example, French Revolution. So before that in America, American War of Independence. In Europe again, German unification, Italy unification. So like this, many freedom movement took place in Europe. So everything we started to learn through the English education in India. It inspired the Indians to fight against the British. All these thoughts united the people, Indians, and they decided to fight against the British. So that is also one of the major development. And then in the European history or in English education, they used to explore the rich tradition of those countries. When we started to learn that one, we also started to think about the India's rich tradition. Almost 3,000 to 5,000 to 3,000 to 5,000 years ago of traditions we have from the civilizations. Okay, Harappa civilization, Vedic civilization. So like this, from that period we have our own tradition. So Indians started to discuss about that. Indians started to show their interest towards the learning of this rich tradition. So that is also one of the major development. And finally, many European writers were there, like Rousseau, J.S. Mills, Montesquieu. So like this, many European writers were there. Those, because of their writings itself, in Europe, many freedom struggle took place. So same thing learnt by Indians also. Their thoughts were there, socialist thoughts, equality thoughts were there. So this and all greatly impacted over the Indians. So it helped to the Indians during the time of the freedom struggle. So thus, by the introduction of English education in India, many changes took place. Then major development took place in India due to the British administration. So that is constitutional development. As the British conquered entire India and the entire India came under the control of British, as their administration started, many problems also created. In order to alleviate the problems of Indians and their administration, they decided to implement some rules and regulations. Okay, so because of this, they introduced many kind of acts in India. These acts can be divided into two parts. One is before 1857 revolt. That means before first war of Indian independence, many acts they implemented, and after first war of Indian independence or after 1857 revolt also, many acts they implemented. So these acts we have to divide into two parts like this. So before 1857 revolt, many acts introduced by the British government. So let us discuss one by one about that. First one is Regulating Act. As the British introduced dual government in Calcutta by Robert Clive, you know that in this the Nawab of Bengal, he was looking after the administration and judiciary, and whereas very easy task was taken by the British government in Bengal, so that is collecting of land revenue. So as they engaged only in the collecting of land revenue, it made them to corrupt. Almost all the officials became corrupt due to this system. So in order to avoid this one, the British government implemented the Regulating Act. So before this, what happened, as the English East India Company was collecting a lot of revenue in Bengal, and that one they used to pay to the English government in the form of tax. See, one thing we have to observe here, what is that? Many farmers were there in India, almost all the farmers were poor. And these British officials were there, they used to force them to pay the tax, nothing but exploitation. By exploiting over the Indian farmers, they collected the revenue, and the same thing they paid as tax to the British government. Okay, such kind of tax was called by Edmund Burke, one of the legislative assembly member of the British Parliament. He called such kind of tax as the criminal tax. Why? Because such kind of tax was collected through exploitation. By forcefully they collected by the Indians, and same thing they paid to the British government. So because of that, Edmund Burke, one of the Parliament member of England, he called such kind of tax as criminal tax. So in order to avoid all this corruption in English East India Company, Regulating Act was implemented in the year of 1773. In the year of 1773. So according to this act, many changes appeared in English East India Company as well as in India also. So what are those changes? Let us see. As you all know that the British had 3 administration centers in India. First one is Bengal, Madras and Bombay. All these 3 residencies or administrative centers had equal power, equal authority in the administration. But after the implementation of Regulating Act, Bengal got complete control over Madras and Bombay. These 2 residencies, Madras and Bombay, both the residencies came under the control of Bengal. And for each one governors were there, governor of Bengal, Madras and Bombay. Okay, so here what happened, the governor of Bengal, so he was called as Governor General of all 3 residencies. That is also one of the change. The governor of Bengal became as the Governor General of all 3 residencies, and he also got ultimate power like authorizing over the direct and controlling of Madras and Bombay. Okay, he had complete control over Bengal. Along with that, he was having the power to control and to direct the Madras and Bombay residencies also. Without the permission of this Governor General of all 3 residencies, this Bombay and Madras are they were unable to take any kind of decision without his permission. Actually, one more committee was there which was established in England, that is called as Board of Directors. Without the permission of Governor General and Board of Control, without the permission of these 2 members, this Bombay and Madras residencies, they were unable to take their own decisions. For each and everything, they were depending over Governor General as well as Board of Directors. And finally, a Supreme Court was established at the place of Calcutta in the year of 1773. So these are the changes appeared through the Regulating Act of 1773. Students, why we have to study these acts means, in the future when the Indian Constitution was framed, so by the time these acts influences are a lot. Okay, so most of the things we have adapted from this acts itself. Okay, so then after the implementation of Regulating Act, so one more act they introduced. Why? Because in the Regulating Act, clarity was not there. Okay, as it was not satisfied by the British Parliament, so that's what one more act they implemented, so that is called as Pitt's India Act in the year of 1784. In the year of 1784. So according to this, two major changes we can see. So one is, instead of board of directors, in the place of board of directors, board of controllers was established. Board of controllers was established. This committee was established. And then second one is very important one. So one announcement was made by the British government. So that is, the paramount power of India is belongs to English Empire, because we are administrating in India. So that's what the sovereign power of India is. It is belongs to English Empire, but it is not belongs to Indians. So like this very clearly they announced. So through the Pitt's India Act of 1784. So after discussing Pitt's India Act, let us go to Charter Act. So in India, three Charter Acts we can see. So one is 1813 Act, 1833 Charter Act and 1853 Charter Act. So let us discuss one by one. The validity of each Charter Act is 20 years. After the completion of 20 years, they used to make some changes regarding the rules and regulations, and they used to implement another Charter Act. So first let us discuss about Charter Act of 1813. So according to this act, the British government gave license to the English East India Company for another 20 years. Okay, now if any license if you make through the government means, so after completing its term we have to renewal it. Okay, so like that, even English East India Company, as its term completed, its term of license completed, so that the British government allowed to make trade for another 20 years. So that is through the 1813 Charter Act. And also in this act very clearly they mentioned that if any interested person or company are ready to make trade, so they are eligible to make trade in India. So like this what happened, many companies started to make trade in India. As a result what happened, free trade, now what we will call globalization, that concept started through the Charter Act of 1813. And the second one is, through this system, giving license to the company and authorizing over that. So that new system was started, giving license to the newly started company and authorizing over that, and means commanding or controlling over that. That new system was started through the Charter Act of 1813. And then so far one of the major changes of this act is, that is, this act allowed the churches or Christian missionaries to enter into India. So before this, Indian kings did not allow any Christian missionaries to enter into India, but 1813 Charter Act allowed. And also they directed to all the Christian missionaries to enrich the Indian tradition and education. Okay, so through this many Christian missionaries came to India, they established many churches, and through this the expansion of Christianity and education, means English education also took place. That is one of the major development of 1813 Charter Act. And last one is, Board of Controllers had the power to appoint the Governor General of India or Governor General of all three provinces. And also they had the power to appoint the Commander-in-Chief, Chief of Army will be there. No? So that fellow was appointed by the Board of Controllers itself. So thus Charter Act of 1830 was implemented by the British government. Then we will go to Charter Act of 1833. This Charter Act of 1833 is, in this also many features can be seen. So very first one is, the Governor General of all three provinces were there, no? He was named as Governor General of India. Remember this? The Governor General of Bengal or other three provinces were there, no? So that person was named as Governor General of India. And then Bengal had the ultimate power. The Bengal had the ultimate power. Why? Because it was considered as the central government of British Empire in India. So that's what the Bengal had all kind of power to declare war, means while taking decisions regarding war or making negotiation with the neighbor countries, or else any other diplomatic relationship with the neighbor countries. So related to this, Bengal had the power to take the decisions. And also Governor General of India is he had the ultimate power to control over the trading of English East India Company. And then one of the major feature of this act is so that is this act, it has banned all kind of discriminations on the basis of color, rich, poor. So such kind of discrimination is so that one was banned by this act in the administration. And then differences in opinion, so that means Governor General of India, he had a executive council to assist him while taking major decisions regarding war, trade, or whatever. So by the time if the different opinion appears between Governor General and the council executive or executive council is so by the time Governor General had the power to overcome by the decisions of executive members. Okay na? While overcoming by that or while cancelling the decisions of this executive council members, by the time you wanted to write a letter to the British government. So here one thing we can observe that while making any kind of decision, Governor General had the ultimate power, and then he was mandated to appoint a law member in his executive council. So while making major decisions, by taking the opinion of this law member, or else used to make him to make survey throughout the country, and later they used to make the major decisions. So that's he was mandated to appoint a law member in his executive council. And finally the British companies were allowed, the other British companies were there in England, so those companies were allowed to make trade in India. So these are the major changes we can see through the Charter Act of 1813. So these are the acts which took place before the 1857 revolt or first war of Indian independence.